Kahoot. Quizlet is great. Mentimeter. We do have somebody using Mentimeter. Jolly good. Word Cloud. Kahoot. We got a couple. It's Parkomenka. Okay. Excellent. Nostrino is using Padlet. Gulbanu using Quizzes. Nearpod. Somebody's using Nearpod. That's really good. So lots of really nice ones there. Let's see how we're doing with that. Okay, keep going a little bit. Let's see a little bit more. We've got Zoom, Quizlet. So Zoom's the platform. These are some of the tools that you can use on the Zoom. Okay. Mentimeter, Padlet, jolly good. Edmodo, somebody's using Edmodo. I haven't used Edmodo. I think I should investigate Edmodo. Quizlet, Padlet, Word Cloud. So we have quite a few there. Okay, let's end that poll to see. So we've got none of them I work with first grade. You could still use like some of them with first grade, like the Word Cloud or Simple Quizlet, maybe. You can have a look, experiment. Okay. Now, just having a look there. Thank you for sharing what you're doing there. Somebody's using Jamboard. Yes, somebody told me about Jamboard recently. And then another one was an interactive whiteboard, Miro, which is really nice for young learners. Padlet Online. Now, if you haven't used Padlet before, I'm going to put something in the chat box, which is very useful. That's it, a YouTube. And there's this teacher trainer called Russell Stannard. I don't know him, but it's a very, very clear video of how to get started with Padlet. And he has lots of videos also for advanced users of Padlet there. So this is Padlet. Then you've got your quizzes. You've got your Quizlet, quizzes. This is the Mentimeter one and the Nearpod. So lots of lovely free online tools for training. Take your pick. Have fun and experiment. So Yevgenia, you've put Miro and Jamboard are your favourites. Yes, I really liked the Miro as well. So I want to share something here with you. Okay. Just having a look. Oh, somebody else is using Miro too. It's nice, Miro. Especially for very young learners, it's really nice too. One way of assessing your students' progress is by getting them to produce their own word clouds, make collaborative quizzes on grammar, vocabulary and reading texts or listening texts to actively demonstrate their understanding. Would you agree? Type in the chat box if you agree with this statement. You agree? Yes. Yes. Agree with exclamation marks there. Completely agree, Olga. Yes. So I think, you know, with our students, the way to motivate them is to engage them and get them actively participating. And they can even do things and send them to each other on their phones through the WhatsApp, or I think you have something called Telegram as well. So different ways. Oh, look, we've got 100% agreement here. So that's great. And we've got lots of tools to experiment with. And I think let's go back to the beginning where we were talking about how we felt about teaching online. I think it's a great opportunity to experiment with new ways and new method technology here. And I believe it can be difficult. So if we have to sort of decide whether our students can do, which the students can do best. But I think when we go back to face-to-face teaching, we will still be using these tools. Okay. Irina, no video, no sound. I'd say log in, log out and log in again. Okay. So moving on, back to our video. Remember our video was about hospitals. We looked at some vocabulary. We predicted the vocabulary. We used the vocabulary a little bit to predict what our video is going to be about. We're going to now look at a technique, okay, and this technique is called owning questions, all right? So you need to put in the chat box, some of you started already, choose a number between 1 and 4. Put your number in the chat box. We've got 1, 2, 4, we've got some 2s, some 3s, some 4s, some 1s. Okay. As you're putting that in, I'm going to ask you a question. What does owning a question mean? It means I'm going to give you 4 questions. Those of you who have put number 1, you will be owning question 1. Those of you who have put question 2, you will own question 2. Those of you who have put question 3, you will own question 3. And finally, if you have put 4, you will own question 4. This means you only need to listen for your question. You don't need to listen for the others, but you need to find the answer for your question. Got it? Ready? So question 1, all right. Number 1, if you wrote number 1, this is your question. What is the most important scientific discovery ever made? Ready? Number 2, where was Alexander Fleming from? So if you put number 2, that is your question. 3, if you put number 3, who discovered penicillin? And then if you put number 4, your final question is, for number 4s, what are doctors worried about today? So you have responsibility to find the answer for your number question. Okay, got it? Right. We're going to go back to our video and to stop sharing. And I'm going to play the video this time with the actual sound. So here we go. So you're only listening for yours. Ready? I see some of you putting the answers in there already. That's good. Now let's listen and check.
The Nobel Prize in Medicine is one of the most prestigious awards in science. Over the last 115 years, the Nobel Foundation has awarded prizes for many of the biggest scientific breakthroughs in recent history. Arguably, the most important of these was the discovery of penicillin. Sir Alexander Fleming was a Scottish doctor and scientist. He was born in 1881 and began research at St Mary's Hospital in London in 1906. In 1928, he found an old discarded sample of bacteria with mould on it. At first, he noticed that the bacteria sample was slightly smaller than it had been. When he investigated further, he discovered that the mould, called penicillium, was killing the bacteria. The stunned Fleming named the substance it released penicillin. Although Fleming discovered penicillin by accident, he soon realized it could treat infection far more effectively than existing treatments. However, he was disappointed and frustrated to find that he couldn't produce enough to really treat infection. Eventually, he became disillusioned and stopped researching. 2 more scientists took up the challenge. Howard Florey was an Australian pharmacologist and pathologist working at Oxford University. His colleague, Ernst Boris Chain, was a brilliant student who had fled Nazi Germany to work in England. Working at Lincoln College, they looked into Fleming's discovery and invented a way to mass-produce the drug much more efficiently. By this time, another war, World War II, had started, and death through infection was a major problem for the army. By 1945, the scientists, along with the American War Production Board, could produce enough penicillin to treat the entire Allied forces. This saved countless lives, and that same year Fleming, Florey and Chain were thrilled to find out they had won the Nobel Prize. Penicillin was the first antibiotic, a range of drugs used to treat and prevent infections. There are now more than 100 antibiotics. Antibiotics have saved millions of lives, but now there's a new problem: antibiotic resistance. Many strains of bacteria have evolved to fight off antibiotics, so some infections are resistant to treatment. Scientists and health professionals are alarmed by this, because soon we won't be able to treat minor illnesses or carry out major surgery. Some of this resistance is natural, but a lot of it is because we simply use too many antibiotics. The world needs new laws to make sure we control the use of these drugs. But while we can make the development of antibiotic resistance a little slower for now, we can't stop it completely. That's why a lot of scientists are trying to find a new form of antibiotic. And who knows, if they're successful, they could win the Nobel Prize too.
Thank you all very much for all the answers you were putting there in the chat box. I saw a nice one from Maria who said she uses a similar technique, but she uses it, I must be with younger students, I imagine, with M&Ms as well. Okay, back to our slideshow here. And we should be having that in a minute. Some of you put penicillin, that's correct. And the most important scientific discovery ever made. The answer, those of you who answered number 1, was penicillin. Where was Alexander Fleming from? And I saw in the chat box, those of you who had question number 2, Scotland, you're quite right. Somebody even put the date in there, that's really good. And we've had people who, you know, maybe they might look it up beforehand on the internet and just see if they can find the answers and check their information. We've got number 3, who discovered penicillin? And in actual fact, it was what's his name, Alexander Fleming, but it was also taken further forward for the masses by Howard Florey and Ernst Boris-Chain, and they all won the Nobel Peace Prize. What are doctors worried about today? You're quite right. People did put COVID. That is a worry. But actually in the video, when they were listening, what was the problem? And I can see that, Janat, you've put nowadays there's a problem of resistance to antibiotics. So it was a technique called owning questions. Now, I really like this technique for several reasons. Let's think about it. You only had to listen for your one question. However, because the way we showed the questions, you knew what the other questions were, and no doubt you were also listening for those questions, but your responsibility was only one question. And I think sometimes that can ease students' worry when they're listening about things. If you have Zoom, why not put them in a breakout room very quickly just to share their answers? So that's another thing that you can do. But I also noticed that while you were listening, you were chatting, you were putting it into the chat box too. So also very nice. So we call it the technique is owning questions. All right. So we wanted to show you a different way that you can work with your listening texts online. Okay. Hope you liked it. All right. We're going to stay with solutions here. Just to share with you this the website. You can download that video from the Solutions website on the eltoup.com for Kazakhstan. And we also have worksheets, and I'm going to show you the worksheets. These are freely available. If you have any issues with this, thank you, Luke, for putting that in the chat box. Interpress can help you with it, because they have all of the links too. But it comes with a free worksheet as well. So if let's have a look at our worksheet. Here's our worksheet, before you watch. So we did a little bit of before you watch, but we did it in a different way. Then you've got comprehension check. So there were 3 questions here. We added one more question so we could do our owning questions. Dinara, I'm glad you think it's great as a strategy. And again, it sort of slightly lifts it off the page a bit and creates that interaction, which you would get in a classroom, but online it's not so easy to get. So if we change a little bit our techniques, I think that's very nice. You can do it in the face-to-face as well. They then watch again and they try to order a few things, and they match sentence halves, and then finally you've got a discussion again, and that could also be in a breakout room if you're using the Zoom. So different things that you can do. These are freely available from our website there. Okay, right. We're going to stay with solutions, but we're going to look at a different thing to do here. This you can do at any level. Mulder, you're quite right. They are worried about new types of pneumonia, cancer, COVID, definitely. Okay, so we're going to leave the topic of medicine and we're going to look at the topic of technology. And that's what we are in, the technological era. And, you know, we looked at that picture at the beginning of the students all on their mobile phones. Gadgets is very popular. Wow, Gurbanu, you used 3D glasses. How was it? So the question is here, look at these gadgets, all right. Can you match the words to the gadgets? I'm sure you'll be able to do that very quickly. And the other question is, do you use any of these? A drone is D. Smart lessons, games console, drone, power bank, of course, dictionary fitness tracker. I should be using a fitness tracker. I think it would encourage me to do more exercise. Power bank. Okay, so let's have a look. Very good. Anybody have a robot assistant at home? I think to have one to clean my house would be absolutely fabulous. Yeah, everything is necessary, and of course, as the years go on, they'll become more and more common based for us. So we're going to look at a little bit more at a text about technology. Okay, smart speaker and power banks, action cameras. I've never used a VR headset, but I think it looks really exciting. So I'm looking forward to one day having a go on a VR headset. You use a power bank, somebody's using the fitness tracker, and the drones. Okay, now we're going to move to a text. And the opening part of our text is, technology and gadgets, we every day are changing the way we work, study in ways that seem surprising. What are, I don't think I want to watch a horror movie at a back on a VR headset. Sorry, let's go back to our text here. Technology and gadgets, what are our missing numbers? What type of word is it? Okay, some of you put use. What type of word is that? 2, you've put live. Very good there. And what about 3? Use, we've got live, use. 3, somebody's put can, seems surprising. Okay, so the type of words these are, what parts of speech, they are verbs. So we're looking at verbs. Now, when we do a gap fill, so we've selected verbs for our gap fill, it's very good to get the students to look around and decide what type of word is missing, because that will also help them to think about the sentence and to think what's the correct word. So let's have a look at your answers. We use, so technology and gadgets we use every day. You're quite right, changing the way we live, work and study in ways that may, and can was fine, seem surprising. Okay, so we've even got here a little bit of a modal coming in there. Now, our text again, it's not in the correct order. So what do you think is the correct order? Just go back again. This is our starting point. Let's have a look. Type in the chat box, what the order is. BCA, we've got from some BAC, BCA, CBA, BCA, 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 BCA. Okay, we've got quite a lot going on there. Few variations. I think most of you agree that maybe the first paragraph is B, because it follows very nicely on and it's got a general starter in the last few years. Let us have a look. It is actually B, A, C. But again, as we said before, what you're doing there is predicting and you're using your skills. So we can now use this opportunity to see how the paragraphs link together and to train our students to see the connections so that they get better and better looking at that text coherence and cohesion. Okay, so in the last few years, drones have become increasingly popular, but did you know they're transforming the lives of farmers in Kazakhstan and around the world? So it's a good opening sentence there. Because this paragraph mentions drones, the obvious link really is to go to the next paragraph, because you've got a nice link, both drones, linking back to our previous paragraph, and back to action cameras. Okay, so it then says both drones and action cameras are important tools for estate agents. And then our last paragraph, so here you've got your connection. There's no mention of our drones and action cameras. It's a new idea altogether. So it shows a little bit how our paragraphs link. So the actual order is B, A, and C. So discussing those links is that bottom-up approach there, helping the students see how it goes. All right, so now let's have a look at this. Okay, we've selected, now you said gap fill is something you use a lot. Okay, so what we've done here, we've selected verbs. See, they're all verbs. So this is what we call a selective gap fill. And in paragraph 1, I have 2 missing verbs. Can you decide which one is 1 and which one is 2? From the verbs that I've selected at the top. Could be explore, could be identify, could be capture. And number 2, cattle farmers also use drones to lost and injured animals more quickly. Could be explore, Smagulova, you're absolutely right. It was locate, so very well done. And one, most of you are coming up with it. In this case, there are opportunities, but in this case it is identify. So to identify how fast crops are growing, but it could be capture as well, and to locate your lost and injured animals more quickly. That is such a useful technology for farmers there. Looking at our second paragraph, okay, both drones and action cameras are also important tools for our estate agents. Drones are often used to something aerial views of a property. Muldeer, you've put capture. That's really good. So you've got capture there. Okay, and here you've got also to, okay, capture to inspect roofs and other parts of our houses. And then lower down you've got wide angle lenses, lots of technology words here, can produce 360-degree views of rooms or stream a virtual walkthrough, like we stream live lessons. Okay, so here those are the answers for that one. Someone said this is difficult. This is for a level 11. It's what you select for your students, and it's what you've done to build them up beforehand. So as a technique, you can use it at any level. It's just matching what you select to the level and what work you've done beforehand. Okay, and we need to look around these sentences there. And the final paragraph, we've introduced our VR headsets. They're becoming a useful classroom tool for teachers across the world. I don't know if any of you've used them, but they can send students on virtual field trips where students can visit faraway places or go back in time. And this is what I would like to do: explore ancient cities. And they're a great way to help our students learn a foreign language, and VR sets can help to immerse students in the foreign country where they will have to use their new language skills. So that is a selective gap fill. Okay, exactly. Explore and immerse. Very good. Okay, so we've looked at an explore that, and here is our text. Okay, we've focused on the vocabulary. We did some prediction and some discussion around the actual gadgets themselves, and then we can, like we did in the first part of our session today, set them up for dealing with this offline. So I think once you've done a little bit of work like that, when they read the whole text, think how confident they will feel. A little bit of a gap fill, a little bit of exploring bottom-up connections. They will feel very confident in reading and building their strategies. But let's leave that for the moment. The text goes on, and I want to ask you a question from this text. Have you heard about the 73rd Lyceum in Nur Sultan? Anybody? Yes or no? No, 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 no. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to tell you a little bit, and it's in this text as well. And it's really interesting because in 2019, NurLab, a VR and augmented reality learning laboratory, opened at the 73rd Lyceum in Nur Sultan and is already inspiring students in science, technology and maths lessons. So there you go. Something I didn't know before I started looking at this, and something you have now, some of you have heard about it. Very good. Okay. But that shows you very much how the world is changing and how teaching will be changing in the future. Isn't that marvelous? But I want to show you something I promised to show you at the end of our session, which I think you're going to love. Look at my sentence again. What's different? And why is it different? Smagulova, I'm glad you're different. You're glad. What is different with this sentence? Visually. Coloured words. Absolutely, Irina. And why are they coloured? Does anybody know? They're definitely coloured? No? Any connections, anybody? Yes, they're different. Okay. Parts of speech. Let me show you. Have you heard of the CEFR levels? These relate to the CEFR levels. Okay. So all of the blue words are A1. All of the red words are A2. All of our orange words are a B1 level, and all of our green words are a B2 level. Now, this comes from a book that is a B2 level, but let's have a look. What is what are the most? What's the colour that has the biggest number of words? Blue. Okay, absolutely. A1. And I think what this does for us is it shows our students that while they may think it's difficult, okay, actually a lot of the words are A1 and A2, so it's only certain words there. It doesn't analyze the grammar, it's analyzing the vocabulary. And this comes from that last thing I wanted to share with you, the Oxford Text Checker. And this is available free on the online dictionaries, and I'll just get that into the chat box where you can see where it is. Luke's just popped it in there. It's called the Oxford Text Checker, and it's part of the Oxford Learners Dictionary. It's free. You can type in your sentence. It will then analyze the words and tell you which are the which level all of the words are. I totally agree. I think it's the most fascinating thing, and I think it's very useful to share this with your students, don't you? Because they can check a text. They can also check their own writing and see what sort of level their writing is. It also shows them that in a text level, they're not going to have all green, 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 green because they're a B2 level. There will be a range there. So I thought this was really helpful, and I think it's really, really helpful to teach our students how to use it. So let's have a look. Can you see your text? You type your text in, and then you look for your results. Activities are something that's part of a page, I think it is a subscription, but the results are free. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at our analysis. We've got A1, 58% of the text is A1. Just demystifies a text for students. When they see a long text, they go, oh, this is difficult. No, it's not, because a lot of the words are actually very simple. A2, 12%. So that makes up 70% of our text is actually an A level, A1, A2 level. Okay, I'm glad you're liking it. It's really good. Okay, 8% is B1, 4% is B2, C1 we have nothing, and then somebody asked for the black. What is the black words? They're unclassified. So there you go. But it just gives you a bit of an idea there. It also does, in terms of what we call the Oxford 3000, of the Oxford 3000s are the most common words that are used, okay, the most, or the Oxford 5000, and we can see there's no difference there. So again, 21 words, 81% come from our core Oxford 3000 words. We also have here OPOL. OPOL is the Oxford Phrasal Academic Lexicon. You're not going to see that many, but there are some there. That's 15%. I'm glad you're finding it really interesting. I was saving it to the end because I thought it was really good for you. And then you've got a few that are unclassified. But very interesting little one there to share with you. Now let's go back to the beginning of our session. We talked about the psychology of yes. Let's have a look. In our nice sentence here, we've got the psychology of yes starts with the difference between an active and passive approach to life. If you look at it, some of our words are underlined. What does that mean? So let's say, take the example of time. Can you see time? Okay. If you hover on it, it's got the noun, which is A1, but if you also hover on it, it's got the verb B2. So we make so if we think about to have time to do something, that's a noun, but timing something is a B2 level. So also it shows you different options for a word. Hope you like the Oxford Text Checker and you have fun playing with it and with your students. So ladies and gentlemen, we're drawing the session to a close. And I want to just share with you some of the things we've looked at. We looked at, one of the things was selective gap fill. And I told you there was one other gap fill method I wanted to share with you. And this is, it's actually called a random gap fill. Okay. Now a random gap fill means you pick every 7th word. Thank you, Luke. Okay, And we're going to start with an example. In every seventh word, you substitute it, not with a number. You can put a number, or you can just put a nonsense word. So we didn't start with bananas. I don't think I've mentioned bananas. What we started with was looking at how we could use a word cloud. All right? So we looked at word clouds for prediction, etc. Absolutely. Well done, Svetlana. Absolutely. So then we looked at, in predicting our reading texts, can we finish the sentence? An approach to life, an active approach to life means ... The psychology of yes ... Then we looked at something, banana ordering. What on earth does the banana here mean? Well done. We looked at paragraph ordering. Okay, super duper. And then we looked at multiple option. Anybody guess this word? We did matching, super duper. We looked at matching. Okay, so we looked at multiple action matching in text, and we looked at using grammar in visual ways with Venn diagrams and timelines, and also personalizing it and imagining it. Then we looked at our video clip. We looked at a certain type of prediction. Very good. We looked at vocabulary prediction. You're really spot on today. Owning questions, listening, not banana, but listening. 4, very good. We looked at selective gap fills in, this one's an easy one. Yes, 4. In texts, very good. Paragraph ordering we revisited. And finally we looked at, that is super Moldea, we looked at the Oxford Text Checker. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you found some interesting ideas for working with your course books online, ideas that you can adapt for whatever course book or whatever level you're using. Remember, this random one was every 7th word. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that was your random checker. It's been a great pleasure working with you today. You've been a super audience. Your participation's been fantastic. I've loved working with you. So thank you so much. I'm going to hand over to Luke now, and he will tell you more about the certificates and everything there. But thank you so much. Luke, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jill. That was